During World War II, Allied pilots were reporting a strange occurrence. Pilots were reporting flaming balls of fire, which would follow and chase planes. But what were these lights? Were they just an illusion from the stresses of war, or were they a Nazi aircraft developed in secrecy? Germany throughout the war was technologically ahead of the Allied countries, from the infamous V-2 rocket, which became the first object past the Kármán line into space, to the Me-262, which became the first jet-powered aircraft in history, to the secret Horten HO-229, the world's first stealth bomber. All of these, with many more, are part of what are called Wunderwaffe or Wonder Weapons. Many believe, however, that there are even more secretive projects. During the final years of World War II, many Allied pilots reported flaming balls of light which would chase planes and then disappear. These would be later regarded as Foo Fighters, and there are many theories to explain them. Some believe that they are a psychological issue brought on by the stress of war, and others believe that they are electrostatic phenomena similar to St. Elmo's fire. But some believe that Foo Fighters were German flying saucers. Germany had developed many experimental aircraft with a disc shape as described by inventor Joseph Epp. Epp has described a disc-shaped object that he helped invent, which he took inspiration from the Focke-Wulf FW-61, considered a prototype of the modern helicopter. In his design, Epp moved the rotors underneath the aircraft for great flexibility and changed the vehicle's shape to a disc shape as he thought this would make it more stable. He then used blueprints to build several small proof-of-concept models, which caught the attention of Berlin's Ministry of Aviation. A facility then was opened near Prague Airport in Czechoslovakia, along with other engineers with similar ideas who spent the next years to turn an idea into reality. It is unclear how much progress is made as Soviet troops invaded Czechoslovakia in April 1945. The engineers were forced to destroy the progress they made, and only a few documents could be saved. Unfortunately, all the evidence for this program comes from Epp and the other engineers, and the documents could not be found. However, there's a photo that's supposed to show one of these aircraft flying above the airport, but it cannot be confirmed to be true. There's also a purported device called Die Glocke or the Bell. It is a purported top-secret scientific technological device which is associated with anti-gravity technology. However, there is no evidence other than what few people have witnessed, so unless new evidence comes out, we'll never truly know if these stories are true. However, this does not disprove that Germany tried to build flying saucers. More so, this does show us where the fascination of building a flying saucer started. Beginning in early 1950s, the US government started a program to research and develop a flying saucer. Following World War II, the United States and the Soviet Union became the world's two superpowers, which each vying for global influence. As the Cold War started to brew, this became characterized by ideological, political, and military tensions. This became an era of rapid technological innovation in many industries such as aerospace engineering. With this, the US Air Force became interested in exploring unconventional aircraft designs, which included flying saucer-shaped aircraft. Project 1794 was a joint program between the US Air Force and the Canadian aerospace company AvroCar. Project 1794 had a few areas of interest for testing, such as the air cushion effect, the stability multi-engine configuration, air intake and gas exhaust system tests, aircraft performance, stability and control, and look into radial flow engine feasibility. With this program, the prospect of a flying saucer was taking place. By using the air cushion effect, the aircraft would produce lift by pushing air underneath the aircraft and would be controlled by shutters and gills. The UFO design would also be able to fly at supersonic speeds and fly at an altitude over 100,000 feet in the atmosphere. The Air Force will also look into the aircraft using VTOL technology, as this would be achieved from the air cushion effect and thrust vectoring. It also pushed the boundaries of aerodynamics and fluid dynamics, as the saucer shape would behave differently than a normal aircraft. Fly-by-wire technology was also researched, as this would enable precise control of the aircraft. Material science was also a key consideration for the aircraft, as it would need to be lightweight but strong and be capable of withstanding the challenges of supersonic flight. There are many challenges to face to conquer, and they did this with the help of a Canadian engineer. John Carver Meadows Frost was a British aircraft engineer ending an outstanding career in Britain's de Havilland Aircraft Company as he worked on the twin-boom DH-100 Viper, twin-engine DH-103 Hornet, and the tailless DH-108 Swallow. He also became the chief designer behind Canada's first jet fighter aircraft, the AvroCar CF-100, which he saw to completion. After the success of the CF-100, he then set his sights on VTOL aircraft, as he is considered the unheralded creator of the AvroCar flying saucer projects. In 1952, Frost started a special projects group that looked into many projects such as the pancake engine, where an engine would have its main components arranged in a circular design. Project Y was a project undertaken by Frost to research the Coanda effect. The Coanda effect is the tendency of a fluid jet to stay attached to a convex surface. The phenomenon was named after Romanian scientist Henry Coanda, with the idea of the application to a flying saucer was not new, as Coanda himself was awarded a patent for a flying saucer that took advantage of the effect to produce lift. The Coanda effect helped him confirm that the concept of ground cushion could be a basis for a vehicle with VTOL capabilities. He envisioned a spade-shaped fighter which would be powered by the pancake engine. However, by 1953, the program had only come up with a wooden mock-up, paper drawings, and promises for $4 million budget. The funding was soon pulled when the government funding from the Defense Research Board dried up. With the end of a spade-shaped aircraft program coming to a close, Frost started to have ideas around a disc or saucer-shaped aircraft, a flying saucer so to speak, and this resulted in a number of patents in Great Britain, the United States, and Canada, which included unique concepts of propulsion, control, and stabilization systems. He continued lobbying for a new program called Y2, and a remarkable achievement happened when he was demonstrating to the US Air Force. The Air Force then began funding his research, and Frost was able to proceed with his research. Out of his research came the Avro VZ9AV AvroCar, considered the world's first flying saucer. By using the Quanda effect, Frost believed that he could use the phenomenon as a powerful tool for making an aircraft with vertical flight characteristics. The AvroCar had a potential for a 10-minute ground effect hover, a 25-mile range, and a payload capacity of 1,000 pounds, which was powered by 3 engines. The construction of the AvroCar was based on an aluminum skin fuselage with a disc of 18 feet. The internal structure comprised a triangular truss made of metal. Propulsion was comprised of a 124-blade turbo rotor, which was driven by 3 Continental J69 T9 jet engines, which provide over 660 foot-pounds of thrust. The turbo rotor was located in the center of the aircraft. The AvroCar had a 2-person control with 1 pilot and 1 observer, which were located on opposite sides of the aircraft. During testing, it revealed a stability problem and no good performance due to the turbo rotor. Tolerances. When the AvroCar would begin to fly, it could only go to a maximum height of 3 feet, as it would become unstable at anything above 3 feet 2 inches. Unfortunately, the US Air Force invested $7.5 million into the project and not had the outcomes they desired, so the Air Force then pulled out, which ended Frost's dreams. The Air Force then took the aircraft back with them to the US and had not publicly said that they had been building flying saucers since. John Frost had moved to New Zealand after the cancellation of Avro CF-105 Aero in 1962. He continued to work on projects until his death in 1979 at the age of 63. However, what is more interesting is the history of aerospace companies and their research into anti-gravity. First published in November 1956, the article "The G Engines Are Coming" came out during a time when anti-gravity was talked about publicly. As it says, Lawrence D. Bell, the famous builder of rocket research planes, says, "We're already working with nuclear fuels and equipment to cancel gravity." And William Lear, the autopilot wizard, is already figuring out gravity control for the weightless craft to come. However, this turned out to be the final article related to anti-gravity. Describing the article, many companies were looking into anti-gravity research. These include Lockheed Martin, Convair, Bell, Boeing, Lear, Northrop Grumman, General Electric, and many more. This research has looked into propulsion, aerodynamics, material science, and aircraft design. George Trimble is quoted saying that he thought the effort to conquer gravity could be done about the time it took to build the first atom bomb. Another organization that researched anti-gravity is the Gravity Research Foundation. Since its inception in 1948, they were originally wanting to understand how to block gravity by wanting to find ways to implement gravitational shielding. Gravitational shielding is a hypothetical way of shielding an object from the influence of gravity, as it would have the effect of reducing the weight of an object. There have been experiments that have reportedly been able to produce this effect. In the 1976 paper called Electromagnetism and Gravitation, Edward Teller discussed experiments with electrets. These are materials with a permanent electric dipole moment. The electric dipole moment is described as the measurement of the separation of positive and negative electrical charges within a system. Another research paper was published by Eugene Pogletnov. In his papers, he reported to have objects held above a magnetically levitated superconducting rotating disk that underwent a weight reduction of 0.5 to 2%. Unfortunately, none of Pogletnov's claims have been able to be replicated successfully. NASA also ran an anti-gravity research program during the 90s, however, they said no technique they researched was successful. Aerospace has always had a fascination with anti-gravity technology, and we'll never know what the companies researched. However, this is not the last research into anti-gravity. From its beginning in the late 19th century, Nikola Tesla claimed to have developed a device that could generate an anti-gravity field. He did not provide any information or details on how it worked, however we could think of it using electromagnets like in bullet train rails. Ning Li was a Chinese-American scientist who was known for her research into physics and anti-gravity. In the 1990s, she published many controversial papers from 1991 to 1993. In her work, she described a practical method of producing an anti-gravity field, which has never been done before. Since gravity is a basic force of nature, constructing an anti-gravity machine is theoretically impossible. However, Ling and her colleagues theorized a way around this by using a high-temperature superconductor. In the late 90s, she claimed to have created anti-gravity devices that were fully functional, and this became big news. In 1997, Dr. Li continued to research and conduct more experiments. However, Ning Li started her own company named AC Gravity in 1999. Over the course of the following years, she continued to research anti-gravity, and in 2001, she received a grant from the US Department of Defense for a total of $448,970 to research the technology. The results were never released, and in fact, fact, Ning Li never published anything again. The most mysterious person involved in anti-gravity is American aerospace engineer Salvador Paez. He is credited for many patents that seem to break the laws of physics as we know them. These patents are as follows: a piezoelectric-induced room temperature superconductor, a plasma compression fusion device described as a miniature nuclear fusion reactor, an electromagnetic field generator and a method to generate an electromagnetic field, a craft using an inertial mass reduction device, and a high-frequency gravitational wave generator. These patents are owned by the US Air Force. Many believe that these patents are nothing, as no actual working prototypes of his patents exist, but you decide if you believe they are real or not. From Project 1794 all the way to Ning Li, many people have tried to conquer gravity, and some have said that they've accomplished it. Whatever you may believe, I don't think it's a bad idea to explore this with an open mind, as I believe there's more to this than what we've been told. There's one person I left out, and his work is still classified to this day. Many believe he made a discovery that would change the course of the world forever, and his name was Thomas Townsend Brown. And with that, stay open and stay curious. And if you enjoyed this video, please check out this one on screen. Thanks for watching.